Hey there, DW here. Welcome to my channel. This is a place where you can relax and listen to stories found on the internet. Or not. Before we start anything, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. It would be a great help for my tiny little channel to grow. And plus, it's totally free. Well now, let's start by turning down the background, shall we? Today's story is titled, Screw Me, Screw You, I Want My Money, posted by user Fidel. This is a revenge in multiple parts, and apologies up front for the length. About 30 years or so ago, I was 17 and about to head to university. An acquaintance through my parents' church offered me a job working with him, learning to be a pizza chef. Awesome. I'd need money for uni, and I'd already had a stack of jobs, so working hard was nothing new for me, but being a cook certainly was. My experience with Italian was limited to Pizza Hut, so I accepted that at the start I was a liability, not a help. I started work, and to start with I worked free. Cool. But when it got to the point about 3 months later that I was opening by myself and taking whole shifts by myself, well, I should be paid. I screwed up all of my 17-year-old courage and confronted the owner. Let's call him Nick, because that was his name. He huffed and puffed and tried to tell me how terrible I was, but I stood my ground. And now I'm on minimum wage. Not bad in my eyes at the time. I worked there for another 3 years, through most of my uni degree, often putting in 30 hours contact at uni, 30 hours at the restaurant, and 30 hours of study. It was hectic, but just became the norm. Towards the end, I became a lot more savvy and started researching labor laws, keeping records of my pay packets and end-of-the-year tax receipts, and realized Nick and other co-owners were screwing me. I wasn't on the correct rate. They weren't deducting tax correctly, and a couple of other accounting oversights. By then, I was working with my, at the time, mate. Let's call him girlfriend creeping dickhead. It was Sunday night. The place was packed. I had tickets all the way down my line, and girlfriend creeping dickhead and I were pumped. We had a new boss who just bought into the business, who thought he was the king of the world because he was now a restaurateur, a right wanker. But after years of having to stay back to cook pizzas on World Cup nights for the boss's friends, or Christmas, New Year's Eve, etc., I was sorta used to the grandstanding chest-puffing behavior. The night in question, the new boss would not let me start the second pizza oven. Think a 2-tier oven. I was only allowed the top tier on because it cost too much. So here I am, oven full, 2 pizza chefs running full speed, and we're only falling behind because one oven wasn't enough, and it was starting to cool down from being so full and opened so frequently. New boss gets a couple of tables of mates in. Instead of just asking us to cook some garlic bread or whatever, he starts loading up trays himself and putting them in the oven. Not the worst crime, but because he had no idea what he was doing. Every 30 seconds, he'd open the oven to check them, cooling the oven down even further, potentially ruining the food we'd had in there and slowing us down measurably. I had the head chef chewing my ass out as his food was ready to go, but my food on the same ticket wasn't. It was hectic and not fun. This garlic bread bandit shit had to stop. Me. New boss, stop fucking with my oven. If you want garlic bread, just ask. I'll get it done immediately for you. New boss, what? Huh? Me. You're messing with my oven. You're cooling it down and we're too busy for this shit. Just tell me and I'll make it. New boss. Okay. Did he do it? Nope. He kept on. Cue the same conversation another 2 times. The last time I told him I'd blow my stack if he did it again. You see where this is going? He did it again. Now, after being consistently ripped off and abused so many cookie stories from that place for 3 years, my time was up there anyway, and this was the time to do it. I looked at girlfriend cripping dickhead and said, "Yo, we out here?" He looked back and simply said, "Yup." We stripped our aprons, and in front of the entire restaurant, Pizza Kitchen was in full view of the entire restaurant, threw them on the bench and told new boss, "We quit. All this, all these tickets, all the food in the oven you fucked up, and your mate's shitty garlic bread, this is all yours now. Good luck." Then we walked out, got some coffees from the baristas, sat in front of the pizza area, and watched him absolutely flounder. He had no idea what he was doing, and there was literally no one else there that could help him. We could see food coming out from the kitchen, but the pizza on the same ticket was taking 20 minutes or more longer to come out. Tables were hopping mad. We could hear the grumblings all around us. I'll admit it was dickish, but undeniably satisfying to behold. That's not the pro-revenge though. The pro-revenge was that I'd been stealing my timesheet every Sunday night, photocopying it, and then replacing it Monday mornings. I'd been doing that for over a year. I'd also told girlfriend cripping dickhead to do it. Monday, I walked in and Nick was there and was furious at me. As I walking in, you could see his chubby face turn bright red as he bellowed across the restaurant floor. "What the fuck do you think you're doing here? Get the fuck out and never come back." Me. Nick, we gotta talk. We can do it here or we can do it in your office. But trust me, you want to have this conversation privately. Nick. Fine, you come with me then. Desperately trying to gain the upper hand back. And he storms to his shitty little office out the back. Nick says something bullshit about how he's going to withhold pay and a whole heap of other illegal hot air. Me. You done? Good. Here, read this. I hand him a printout of an Excel spreadsheet, a stack of photocopied timesheets, a stack of photocopied pay slips, printed copy of the wage awards, all of which detail the amount he's ripped me off for. Me. You owe me $6 grand. I'll take cash or a check now. Did I mention he and the other bosses had just been simultaneously raided by the tax office? And that they and the business were all on thin fucking ice? Yeah, bad timing for Nick the Dick. Nick, spluttering, wringing his hands. But, I can't afford it. Look, I'll show you my bank accounts. As he physically starts scrambling to find his bank statements. Me. Nick, I literally don't give a shit about you, your bank accounts, or your situation. You owe me $6 grand today, or I take all of this to the tax office and all of the other relevant government departments that will be very interested in this. Because, Nick, I have a feeling if you're doing this to me, you're doing it to other staff here as well, huh? As for not having the money, well, again, not my problem. But you just bought a new $60,000 Pajero. So if you have to run that down to the car yard and sell it, again, I don't give a shit, but I get 6 grand today. He literally teared up a little. I'm not sure why, maybe through frustration, rage, or just being screwed by someone he thought way beneath him. But seeing a grown man who's abused you for so many years cry at your hands is a pretty beautiful thing to behold as a 20-year-old kid. I got a check that day for my whole 6 grand, and yes, it cashed. But the best part was walking out of his office with girlfriend creeping dickhead standing there, who deadpan just looked him in the eyes and said, "Nick, we need to talk." And in they walked to do the same thing. 10K he lost that day. The best part? A few of my friends at the restaurant caught wind of the fact that I had enraged him and asked what it was all about. I let them know how they were being screwed, how to take copies of all of their timesheets, and where to find the relevant laws. I know of several other people who did the same thing to him. And that was how I left the hospitality industry and started working in my field of study, never looking back. Hope you enjoyed my cake day present to y'all. Well, that's the end of this story. It wasn't that long, so why don't we read another story? This second story is posted by SpongeBob No Pants, and it's titled, "Live in a rental for over a year without paying rent. Good luck in jail." This has all been finalized, so I decided to post it. For obvious reasons, I didn't want to post it while it was ongoing. Last summer, I bought a house trailer and decided to rent it out. It needed some work, so I posted 2 months free rent for putting carpet down in the living room, hooking up the hot water heater, and putting a toilet. Got a nice couple with a newborn willing to do it. Great, no lease month to month, no security deposit, and the rent was $450 a month. They did the work, so I didn't ask for rent for 2 months. Everything was fine. Side note, there are a few little state laws that come into play. If you don't pay rent for 3 consecutive months, you are considered as a squatter, which means the landlord doesn't have to fix the property and can actually padlock it and deny you entry. If you're on house arrest and get formally evicted, you could be violated for it. Also, you can be formally evicted even if you have already moved out, so the landlord can get rent due. Also, even though there are eviction bans, if it happens before the ban, then it can still go through, plus a few other conditions that still allow someone to be evicted. It's up to the judge really. Fast forward 5 months and still no rent money. Yes, they had a newborn and they were young and didn't have a lot of money. But the husband can spend $1,500 on a new engine for his project car. They can't afford to go out to eat and spend money on electronics, but no rent. So after that 3rd month, I did nothing. The weather was turning cold. I didn't put in the furnace like I promised. And if they hadn't had a newborn, I would have padlocked the house. They were bragging about their tax refund. I gave them a shot to catch up, and they basically said that they knew their rights and were in a rent strike. Illegally, I might add. You will see later. COVID happened. Husband got laid off, so I gave them a break. When he went back to work, I asked back for rent again and was told to fuck off. I finally had enough. I told them they had 14 days to get out, or I was doing a formal eviction. And seeing he was on house arrest, he knew what that meant. I honestly was trying to keep him from having to go back to jail and keep an eviction off of their record. I was trying to be nice and civil. So they left and I cut my losses until I checked the property Everything they put in was removed. Everything they got free rent for was gone. I got pissed and filed for a formal eviction. It didn't go as they hoped. They said I didn't provide heat, so they went on a rent strike. Only they didn't file that with the courts or hold the money aside. They just thought they could stop paying rent. What they put into the trailer was less than the rent. The judge agreed with me that seeing they took everything, I was due those 2 months' rent. And the biggest. He started slamming my character, so I said, "Well, you didn't tell me you were going to be going on house arrest when you rented the property." Before then, the judge looked bored, but he perked up. He asked them if that was true. They responded that it was, and he was ready to make his ruling. I received 15 months back rent at $450 a month, and $2,000 in damages because the way they removed this stuff, they damaged a lot of things. As for him, the judge said he had no choice but to turn the eviction over to his parole officer. Fast forward to this month. His house arrest was violated and he was arrested. They actually had the nerve to ask me to speak on his behalf. I didn't. Ruling was his remaining 6 months are now being spent in jail. They have a bad eviction on their record and they owe me money. Know the law before you play the game. Well, that's it for the story today. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. It would really help my tiny little channel to grow, and plus, it's free. And we'll see you again next time. Have a great night.